Topic number one here today that I really want to cover, that is the Shemar Stewart nonsense. It's just totally laughable. Like, everybody has this guy in the first round of their mock draft, and I just can't figure it out. If I was drafting, I can't take him any higher than the third round. He's probably a fifth rounder for me. I mean, we're talking about a guy with zero production, and I mean zero production. So what we're going to do today in this Shemar Stewart nonsense conversation, we're going to pull up his stats. I have a couple clips for you, actually, of his on-field stuff from when I watched the games. And then I want to bring it back full circle to why this is not even a fucking conversation. And if you think this guy's a first-round pick, you either are in follow the leader mode or you just aren't smart. So let's get into it. So item number one here with Shemar Stewart, the guy has zero production. And I mean zero production. And again, 6'6", 290. He can run fast. Athletically, he fits the profile. But, like, we don't have any evidence that this is actually a good football player. 1.5 sacks in 2022, 1.5 sacks in 2023, 1.5 sacks in 2024. Again, we have zero, and I mean zero, evidence that this is a good football player. And if you actually watch the games, which I do, and by the way, this is not a player I even mentioned in the stock report notes. Like, I didn't have Shemar Stewart's name listed in the stock report notes one fucking time for anybody that reads those. Like, not once. I mentioned Nick Scorton a bunch of times, and I thought he actually kind of disappointed Nick Scorton this past year, but he was actually someone who was worth watching. I didn't bring up Shemar Stewart one fucking time. And if you want to say, hey, Shemar Stewart had a better pressure rate than Nick Scorton, I'm not going to argue with you. That's factually correct. But I also don't think Scorton's a first-round pick either. So now I want to show you two plays, and this is from the South Carolina game, which if you have been following my stuff, I watched a ton of South Carolina this year, mostly because of, you know why, if you pay attention. But I want to show you two plays now, which basically sum up why this guy, like, if you watch him, you're like, there's no way. There's no way that this is like a real football player. All right, so here's one right here. And we'll just play it and then I'll talk about it. Okay. So this is like a two-parter. First of all, he's standing straight up and down. There's no knee bend. There's no crazy-ass pass rush move. There's no nothing. So watch his initial pass rush move here. He's standing straight up and down, running into people, and now Sellers takes off a run. Now, we know that Stewart can run. But then he misses the fucking tackle, which, again, granted, Lenore Sellers, he actually broke 17 tackles in this game, which he's going to be a conversation for after the draft in the 2026 stuff, but we'll get to that in a second. But just let's play this here. Bro, you're 290 fucking pounds. Wrap up the fucking tackle. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. We'll show you one more here. And again, a lot of this stuff has to do with, like, if you really watch this guy, you're like, there's no way this is a real football player. Like, there's, like, if you really watch this guy, you're like, I don't think he has any clue what he's doing. So let's watch this again here. This is a different play, by the way. And I should just pause this really quickly. Let's go back. So his job is to contain the edge. He don't give a fuck. He's just going to get Sellers. He has no fucking self-awareness in the fact that this is his guy. He's supposed to contain the edge. He don't give a fuck. Ready? Here we go. Contain the edge, buddy. Contain the edge. You got to contain the fucking edge. And by the way, this tackle, he's not even in your way, which the South Carolina offensive line isn't really that good. But let's continue. Just fucking bury Sellers. Watch it one more time. Contain the edge, buddy. Nope, he don't give a fuck. And there goes Raheem Sanders ripping off a run that he otherwise shouldn't have. Here's another play on this zone read nonsense, right? You'll see a lot of this. Hang on. I believe this is him right here. Again, the South Carolina offensive line is not good. Let's point that out quickly. Did anybody see that? Now, the throw by Sellers is a little off target. That's not what we're here to talk about. Here he comes. Basically free access, by the way. 75 never picks him up. 75 never picks him up. Runs right by him. Oh, runs right by him. Yeah. I mean, look. And those are two plays. You'll find 100 of them just like that. There's no evidence that this is a good football player. And I mean no evidence. How the fuck is this guy a first-round pick? I gotta know. Now, let's bring this full circle. Let's say you believe in Shemar Stewart. Let's say you've watched everything. You're a believer in Shemar Stewart. I can accept that. We live in the world of the Chinese farmer. Maybe. Maybe in your building, there's a defensive line coach that says, I got to have this guy. Athletically, I can teach him the rest. Or I should say, athletically, he belongs. He checks all the measurable boxes. He checks all the testing boxes. I can teach him the rest. Let's say that scenario is out there. Okay. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm not going to tell you that you can't fix the guy. Here's what I'll counter with, though. There has to be a line of demarcation in the sense that with your first-round pick, that player has to either be a Hall of Famer, a blue-chip player, or a multiple-time Pro Bowler. If your first-round pick is not one of those three categories, you have missed, and he's likely having his fifth-year option declined, and now I'm on the hot seat because I've made a terrible decision. Which, again, your first-round pick, you cannot fuck up. Which is why a lot of these teams continue to suck year after year because they just turn the fucking card in for a guy who's not any good when they could have turned that fucking pick into 6 or 7 other guys who would have been better than the guy they turned the card in for. Again, be that as it may. Here's why you can't pick him in the first round, even if you like him. That guy, the moment he enters your building, every single person in that fucking locker room, they have one of two thoughts, and maybe both of these thoughts. A, we picked the guy that had 1.5 sacks the year before. I'm going out on that practice field, and I want to kick his fucking ass. Because all these NFL players are wired a lot differently than the fucking assholes who cover this shit, and they don't understand that part. As a former wrestler, I guess I'm able to conjure these, how these guys operate. Every single day, when that guy walks into the building, he's a punching bag. Everybody wants to kick his fucking ass because he got picked in the first round based on doing nothing. Item number 2. Well, if we're picking this guy in the first round, I'm not taking a hometown fucking discount. This franchise has shown they are rewarding players for doing nothing. It's a bad precedent to set in your building. Horrible precedent to set in your building. And again, you can't argue these two facts. Every single player who has a pulse in that locker room, and again, some people just don't give a fuck in general. I understand that. The people that actually show up, they work, they want to get better, the people that you want in your locker room, and again, probably 80% of the people, right? They have one or two thoughts. Number one, we picked a guy that had 1.5 sacks in the first round. I'm going to fucking pummel this guy. Every single tackle, every single defensive lineman wants to make him look fucking stupid. It's the fact. If you have any heart or pride, you feel that way. And then item number 2, I'm not taking a fucking discount to stay here. We're rewarding players for doing nothing. Based on those two principles alone, taking him in the first round is a non-starter. And it can't be argued. It can't be argued. By the way, not to mention the fact that we have no evidence that he's actually a good football player. So not only do we not have evidence that he's a good football player, the moment you turn the card in for that, he immediately becomes a problem with 80% of the other players in the building. That's what you want? That's what you're arguing for? This is why he's still a first-round pick? No. I would argue that if you believe that, you have no idea how this fucking shit works. If you want to take a guy like that in the third round who has tools and you want to further develop him, not in the spotlight, hey, taking a flyer on a guy in the third, fourth, fifth round, I ain't going to argue with you. That's fine. You can do that. No problem. You can't take a guy like that in the first round. That kind of move right there is the antithesis of everything fundamentally wrong with organizations and leadership. Can't argue it. And if you are somebody that's arguing for it, you don't understand any of those principles. And you are a dangerment to society.